Hello, folks. Happy International Beer Day. I'm Dr. Sri Banerjee, core faculty for the College of Health Sciences and Public Policy at Walden University. Wanted to give you a quick overview on just the history of beer, and going back about 5,000 years onward to present modern day, thinking about how it's celebrated in Oktoberfest and some of the different festivals. So, enjoy your day with International Beer Day, and then in the next segment, I'll explain to you some of the ancient history. Hello, everyone. Today is International Beer Day. I wanted to kind of talk about uh, some stories surrounding beer and how beer is not just beer, and in some ways have in fact been central features and representative of the of life, death, and the afterlife. So beer is much more than just that. And so the geospatial program has a lot of features. You can make interactive maps, geospatial maps, and story maps. And so this is looking at barley and wheat in ancient Egypt. At the core, Egyptian diet, economy, medical practice, and spiritual consciousness. So if you scroll through this, it's really interesting. You'll find some of the ways that beer was prepared and used for medicinal practices as well, and what areas in the Nile, upper versus lower Nile, where it feeds off into the Mediterranean Sea, were locations of places where you would have found beer and other gardens. And of course, there's the desert there, and of course, the Abydos Temple, very important to the god of beer, Osiris. But there's other places along the Nile where this was important. And then in the south, you have the Nubian desert. So geospatially, just kind of orienting yourself where you're at, it's really important before understanding how agriculture developed. And due to the fact that this was one of the four cradles of civilization, four or five, the Nile River Valley. And so there were times when there were dry periods, and there were times where there was periods of inundation. And so this sort of cyclical nature of time and how to plant crops according to that gave way to creating early economies and food and agriculture. And so, of course, naturally, when some of these plants like barley or wheat start to be stored, then you can also use it for other types of uses as well, like the usage of beer. Creation of beer. So this goes into the whole Fertile Crescent. So the the Fertile Crescent actually spread through the Tigris and the Euphrates River. The Sumerians were a great civilization as well in that area, and there were many interactions between surrounding civilizations and the great Egyptian civilization at the time. So the evolution of beer is kind of described within this figure from Thebes, Egypt, and if you take a look, you can see the process in these wooden models, and see that this was an actual process that took time, that took effort, and many people were involved, and it was something that was methodical and seeing to parallel the afterlife. And so, as you can see within this tomb, you can see a whole bakery taking place with clay people. And so the process of bakery is no longer within a tomb. For obvious reasons, you can tell a process of bakery. But paralleling that is the process of preserving the body to journey into the afterlife. So the process of making bread and the processing of the body was likened to each other, and in fact had similarities. And so this is what is established through this through some of these paintings. So the for those of you that are into medical history, of course, medicine, anybody into medicine, I'm trained as a physician, would also be into the history of things. And the Ebers Papyrus is actually a medical papyrus, a treatise with several remedies um, to reduce urinary urgency or frequency of urination. And that calls for wheat. So in a way, in some way, they were aware of one of the major symptoms of diabetes, and barley and wheat was seen as this, and also during pregnancy, this was used to determine gender, for gender reveal. Also a pregnancy test. A woman would urinate on barley and wheat seeds. So if they sprouted quickly, this means that she was pregnant. And so some of this in modern trials has been tested, and um, it may very well be, it in fact has been shown to be 70 to 85% effective in, uh, uh, in predicting pregnancy accuracy. And it may be because the HCG makes the, or some hormone makes the plant grow faster, which is interesting because, and almost an interesting parallel, because the wheat genome, in fact, is a tetraploid, which is one of the most sophisticated genomes in the plant kingdom. So just some interesting, and this is the actual Evers papyrus. So as you can see, beer is not just beer. I hope I've convinced you of that. It's definitely something that is or was the universal palliative. Before modern medicine, this was the only source of ethanol. And so this would be toxic to microorganisms. So any sort of additional disinfectant, antiseptic properties are also part of fermentation of wheat and the production of beer. Sweetness was something that was actually preferred in according to the Ebers Papyrus. Here's the symbols, hieroglyphic symbols for that. But and then you look at dentition, and you see the ancient Egyptians actually probably improved their dental health by consuming bread and beer. Of course, this is at the center of health. This is at the center of the afterlife, and has influenced how we view agriculture, and most importantly, of course, today, how we drink beer. Thank you for listening.